Welcome! The Employment and Career Counselors at Nokikwe Employment and Education Center have prepared this session to help job seekers with important information they need to know when answering behavioral questions in a job interview. Do you have an interview coming up and you want to be better prepared to answer the questions employers will ask you? In this video, we're going to talk about behavioral interview questions and how to turn your accomplishments into P.A.R stories. But first, what is the purpose of behavioral interview questions? Employers know that your past behavior is the best predictor of your future performance, and employers want to get a better understanding of how you will act in specific situations, as well as how you adapt to unexpected situations. Here are some examples of behavioral questions you may be asked during a job interview. Can you tell me about a time when you had to organize a task and how you went about it? Give me an example of a time you faced a conflict while working on a team. How did you handle that? Tell me about a time when you had to work closely with someone whose personality was very different from yours. A great way to learn how to respond to these questions is with P.A.R stories. So let's talk about P.A.R stories. This acronym stands for Problem, Action, Result. During interviews, employers often ask questions that require a specific example of a story showing how you demonstrated a skill in the past. For this, you want to consider your past accomplishments and the skills you used in that particular situation. First, you have to identify the problem. So what was the problem? An example of a problem may be you were tasked with putting together the slide decks for the presentations to secure sponsors, but all you had was a few notes left behind by your manager. Next is the action. What did you do in this situation? An example of an action may be you called a meeting with members of your team and you all generated a list of the biggest selling points that would be most impactful with potential sponsors. And finally, the result. What was the outcome? An example of a result may be after creating the slide deck, you presented the presentation successfully and got the sponsorship. A tip to remember is to try and focus on a story or a situation with a positive outcome. A few more tips are to write out your stories using the problem, action, result method and practice them until you can deliver them smoothly. Also keep in mind that your success story should also not take too long to tell, stay relevant and on topic. Next, we are going to go over the 3 factors to make your answers more powerful. These 3 factors are relevant, recent, and repetitive. Let's start with relevant. This means you need to make your answers closely connected or related to the job position you are applying to. Next is recent. Make sure that your answer is something that occurred not too long ago. And finally, repetitive. Practice your stories and write them out numerous times until you are able to smoothly remember them. Remember to try and use examples with positive outcomes that are relevant to the current position, demonstrating skills that you have used recently and frequently. And if it is true, you can start your story with a statement like, yes, I do have an example that I can share with you. In fact, problem solving was a regular part of my job. This particular example happened just recently, and so on. Now it's time for you to have a successful interview. If you need further assistance or have any questions, you should contact a Nokikwe career counselor today. Here's our contact information. Get in touch.